There's my pet doe right behind me. See her? Hello, this is Brandon with Backcountry Life Magazine, and it is the end of deer season, and there's really not much good ice right now, and it's a pretty snowy, cold day today, as you can see out in my backyard. So, no better day to get your walleye gear in order and maybe tie some flies and do some things of that nature. So today I'm going to show you guys how to tie a better stinger hook for walleye fishing. We use them with live baits and rubber baits on jigs, primarily for fishing the Detroit River, but you can use them anywhere. You can use them for ice fishing, put them on a jigging rapala or a jig head. Any place you need that little extra hook setting ability if fish are hitting short, or you want to have a stinger on there. There's a lot of stingers that are available in the market, most of which aren't very good. They have little rubber gummy things in the loops that keep them on your hook, and they tend to wear out quickly and fall off. So I'm going to show you a better way to do it. So stay tuned here and we'll whip one up real quickly. Okay, so I typically tie these in different lengths, so I made a really simple little jig, just a piece of wood with a nail in it, a couple of marks, 1 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inch. You can make them longer if you want. A lot of different ways to do this. You can make them with a wire leader if you are fishing in waters that have a lot of muskies or pike, which I actually do sometimes for my walleye fishing, because we tend to get a lot of big muskies as bycatch. But today I'm going to tie some that are about 2.5 inches long, primarily for this bait here, which is a 1 ounce jig head with a paddle tail minnow on it. And this bait is actually about 5.5 inches overall. And I like to use these early in the season in one of our locations that we do actually get a lot of muskies, because the muskies like that bigger bait, and it's pretty fun to hook them. And if you tie this with a heavy monofilament, or you can even tie it with a heavy braid or wire, you can catch a lot of muskies. Today I'm going to do monofilament. The monofilament of choice for the vast majority of these is Maxima. I use 10 pound. I like Maxima because it works great in cold water, and it's very abrasion resistant, and actually landed many muskies with stinger hooks made out of that 10 pound Maxima that just intended for walleyes, but just as a matter of chance, you get muskies as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off, cut a section of mono off my spool here, maybe 8 inches long. You don't have to go too long, but what you want to do is in one end tie an overhand knot, and then go through one more time. Actually, it's called a surgeon's knot. So it's really simple. Hopefully you can see that in the camera here. So it's just overhand knot gone through twice. Draw that down snug. And then, to make this a really good stinger that you can easily replace and remove, I use a small seed bead. You can get these at any craft store. I actually use different colors to indicate different lengths, so that when I'm going through my tackle box I can figure out the length that I'm looking for really quickly. I'm going to use a blue one right now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread that on the piece of monofilament that I have. And I'm going to let that bead slide down to that knot, and then I am going to put the monofilament back through the bead. And the reason I use 10 pound Maxima is because it happens to be the right diameter. It's 0.30 millimeters, or 0.012 inch thickness, and it fits through those seed beads well, and it fits through the sleeves that I'm going to show you here in a minute well also. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to put that over my nail and pull the end without the knot to draw that tight. You want to have a nice smooth nail so you don't nick your line. But pull that and really snug it up pretty good. So there, I have that. Now I'm going to take a metal sleeve, and this is the type that I'm using. Malin is the brand. This is 0.033 10 to 15 pound monofilament rated. They're just steel black sleeves. So I will thread that onto the monofilament now. Next, take a treble hook. I like to use a size 8 for most of my walleye fishing. It's not too big as to be noticeable, and it's not too small to miss the fish. It's a good hooking size so you can get the fish you're looking for. So after I've done that, I've got the sleeve, I've got the hook. Now I'm going to go back through the sleeve, and just about done. It helps when you cut your mono, if you cut it on a little bit of an angle to make a point. It will slide through the sleeve much better when you're trying to get this figured out. So now I've got the size that I want, about 2.5 inches. I'm going to slide my sleeve down to a point where I make a nice little loop in the mono, which will allow that treble hook to slide back and forth, and that'll stay there pretty well while I take this off the nail and crimp that. And it's pretty straightforward. Put it in a pair of pliers designed for crimping. Crimp it tightly. Squeeze the hell out of it. Maybe even come back and give it another squeeze. Reposition it. So now, before I do anything else, I'm going to put that back on that knot, or on that nail rather, and I'm going to test it to see if anything slips. And nothing slips. So I'm going to take it off that knot, and I'm going to trim it. I wasted, 3 inches of mono. So you trim it very close to that knot there, and very, very close to your sleeve on this end. The closer the better. You don't want to get weeds hung up on that. And that is a finished stinger. And I leave them like that with that knot open so that I can do this. I pick one out of my tackle box. I hook it over the bend of a jig hook, pull it tight, and embed it in the jig where I want it. Just like that. Stays on really well. It won't come off until you want it to come off. But when you do want it to come off, when it's time to change out that plastic, it's a simple matter of sliding the bead, opening that loop back up, taking it off, changing your plastic around, putting the stinger back on. And that's it. The life of each stinger hook is about 10 times what the store-bought versions are that have the little rubber compound smeared in the loop there. These work great. They're much less obtrusive also. They're a little more stealthy because you don't have great big crimps. You don't have any of that red rubbery goop that they stick in there. And like I said, I do them with different colored beads. So I know that this is going to be a 2.5 inch stinger because it's got a blue bead on it. A 2-inch stinger will have a red bead on it, and so on and so forth. So that's it. And you can see, you can leave it a little loose like that, or you can draw it down tight, and it really doesn't move, and it is on there, and we've been using for years and years and don't have failures. As long as you crimp it really well, and as long as you test it, test your crimp to make sure it doesn't slide, it really works great. So there you have it. That's the best